Prime Minister of this country. It's a great career move. The last 5 Secretary Generals of NATO, and I only know it's the last 5 because that's only as far as I've had time to check back, it's many more than that. The last 5 Secretary Generals of NATO, Bilderberg's group members. Manfred Werner, Joseph Luns, Lord Carrington, Willy Claes, the present one, Javier Solana, Bilderberger. And indeed, when they were discussing who was going to be the new Secretary General of NATO, it was between 3 people. Javier Solana, Bilderberg Group, Uwe Ellemann-Jensen of Denmark, Bilderberg Group, and Ruud Lubbers, the former Dutch Prime Minister, Bilderberg Group. The head of the World Bank and many of his predecessors, James Wolfensohn, the World Bank, whose investment policies in what we call the Third World have created human and environmental mayhem for decades, Bilderberg members. And one of the big Bilderberg policies since 1954, indeed before, 54 was when it became official, has been, wait for it, the creation of a European superstate with one central bank, one currency, centralization of political power, and encompassing the former Soviet Union. Who is the biggest voice in Europe today saying we must not fall behind the time scale for the central bank and the currency in Europe? Chancellor Kohl of Germany, long-term Bilderberger, as were many of his predecessors as Chancellor of Germany. Who took us into Europe? Edward Heath, Bilderberger. Who supported him from the Labour side? Harold Wilson, Bilderberger. Roy Jenkins, Bilderberger. Dennis Healey, long-term Bilderberger, was at the first meeting in 1954. Who supported going into Europe and staying in Europe from the liberal, the third party perspective? Joe Grimond, Bilderberger. David Steele, Bilderberger. Paddy Ashdown, Bilderberger. The key posts that control decision making, which pushes further and further towards centralization of power, all or most of which, increasingly all, are peopled by members of these organizations. Now this may be a magnificent coincidence, or it may be that we need to know what's really going on in front of our eyes here. The last of these organizations I'll mention briefly is called the Trilateral Commission. Because of its name, as its name would suggest, it's there to coordinate the same manipulation between 3 parts of the world: America, Europe, Japan. It was set up in 1972-73 by David Rockefeller, one of the key men behind the Bilderberg Group and the Council on Foreign Relations, and a guy called Brzezinski, university guy, was in the Carter administration. And the Carter administration is very relevant here because the Trilateral Commission is a very good example of how you can manipulate events with all these organizations working as one, because many people are actually members of a number of them at the same time. The goal, the first goal of the Trilateral Commission in 72-73 was to put one of its members in the White House as President of the United States as soon as possible. It managed it at the next election when Jimmy Carter became President of the United States. The Carter administration was like a who's who sports and social club annual outing of the Trilateral Commission, an organization that had been going for about 3 or 4 years at the time. Walter Mondale, Vice President, Trilateral Commission. Secretary of State Cyrus Vance, Trilateral Commission. National Security Advisor, a key post in America, this guy Brzezinski, who actually helped to set up the Trilateral Commission. And from there downwards, the Carter administration was awash with members of the Trilateral Commission and the Council on Foreign Relations. Now, because we have choice, because we live in the land of the free. People then replaced the Democratic Carter administration with the Republican Reagan-Bush administrations, which were also awash with members of the Trilateral Commission and the Council on Foreign Relations. And then the Republicans were replaced by the Democrats, because we have free elections. And Clinton Democratic administration is awash with members of the Council on Foreign Relations and the Trilateral Commission. I'll tell you what it's like. In the high streets of Britain, there are two electrical retailers called Currys and their opponents, Dixons. So some people go into Dixons and they say, I had a bad time at Dixons, you know, I don't like them. I'm going to go to Currys and give them my money, I am. They're owned by the same people. The two major roadside restaurants in Britain, Happy Eaters and Little Chefs, owned by the same people. The competition is actually an illusion. Different name above the shop front, same people with their hands on the wheel. That's what happens in global politics. Why, you might understandably ask, aren't we told about this by the global media? Why aren't we told about these meetings which the